Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, nice to see you again. Today we're going to be talking a little bit, due to popular demand, about these things, brine shrimp hatcheries. So we talked about these in the last video, I'll leave a link to that up there somewhere or in the comments. Talking about brine shrimp hatcheries where I bought them off Temu, so this was a new one that I bought. This is one that I've already got. This is the Zis brine shrimp hatchery, which you've probably seen. It usually comes with a stand, but the stand kind of annoyed me, so I built a little bracket here that it mounts onto the side of this stand here, and it does its thing. I've fashioned up something similar with this one, just so as it's in the same kind of area, same kind of environment, there's no environmental differences. And then I've got a third type here, which is completely different. And if I'm completely honest, it's going to be a bit of an experiment because I'm not entirely sure how to do it. We'll talk about this one more in a second, but let's concentrate on these. I did consider doing another version of like a DIY version. I've made videos about them in the past where you use like a 2-litre bottle, something like that, and you make your own DIY version. This is very much in that area, so I thought this can double as that. And it was so cheap and came with so many things that I wouldn't bother with the DIY version, I would just buy this. The idea is we try them, see what they're like for ease of use and yield and things like that, what we get out of it, and see how we get on. I'm going to make some assumptions that you know what brine shrimp are and how useful they are in the hobby. It's probably something I would recommend most fish keepers have, especially if you're breeding, but even if you're not breeding, you just keep small fish, brine shrimp are a fantastic food. They really do encourage feeding in small fish and growing fish. They're really nutritious. They're just kind of easy, simple to do, and really good for your fish, so why wouldn't you want them? So I'm going to make the assumption that you know all that and you want to do this, and we'll jump straight into how these ones work, or more accurately, the differences in how these ones work. So this is the Zis hatchery. This is probably the one you're most familiar with, most widely available commercially. It is, in essence, a jug. Like I say, it did come with a stand, but I prefer to use it like this. So this straw part with a bit of a diffuser in here is connected to the air line. You put that in, that aerates the water, and you're aiming for like a slow boil sort of thing, so as it just keeps things moving. You put in your water, your salt, and your eggs, because they hatch in salt water. Give it a day or two, and then you're ready to harvest. So that's the idea. It comes with some extra features, like on the lid here, there's a space for a thermometer, which I lost long ago, but I kind of stopped using those things anyway. And then at the bottom, at the business end, what you do is you turn your air off and you wait for the dead or the shells to rise to the top. The live brine shrimp rise to the bottom, sink to the bottom, that is the word I'm looking for, because in this scenario I've got the light here, so it attracts them down to the bottom. And then you've just got a simple valve where you turn that and they all come out there, and you harvest them there and go and feed your tanks. Great, simple, works well, no complaints. This, very similar setup. I've not actually used this yet, so this is a first for me, but it comes with, it's designed to be hung or hanged. So it comes with a hook. It's just a basic container. It has this blacked out section, so as it's going to stop the light getting to them until you're ready to harvest, and the air comes through the bottom. So it's a lot simpler. No faffing about trying to get air under the water and through it. It just goes through, and it comes with all manners of stoppers, valves, T-pieces, non-return valves, all kinds of things. Essentially, the bubbles are going to come through here and rise through to perform that function, and then you can clamp it off so as to not have brine shrimp running all the way down there when you're ready to harvest, and you use this little valve to harvest to the container of your choice. So very similar function wise, but this cost, I've forgotten, so I'll just type it up here, whereas this cost, I've forgotten, so I'll type it up here. Very different prices. This one actually cost me £0. If you go and watch my last videos, you might find a way to get it for 0 pence and £0 for yourself. So that's these two. We'll get them set up and going, and then come back and see what it's like for harvesting. I'm expecting similar results because they do similar things. This one is very sturdy. I have bumped into this many a time. I have smashed it, I've bashed it. It's not, nothing has happened. You would think the handle might break or something would go wrong with it. But yeah, I've dropped it, I've kicked it, I've bashed it, I've done all kinds of things, and it still stood the test of time. This is very much a flimsy plastic tub with some airline attached. Its design, simplicity is its design, so, and cheapness. I find it hard to complain about the build quality of it because it is so simple, there's not much to it. This, with the stand and all that, a little bit more premium, but maybe you don't need that. This one is altogether a different beast. So it's got a lid like so. I've got some of the equipment that comes with there. But essentially, you put a little bit of water, a little bit of salt, and some brine shrimp eggs in there. Put the lid on, and no light can get to them, and they just do their thing, and they're attracted to the light through here, and you float it in a tank. Now, some people, when I showed this in the first video, said don't float it in a tank. It's altogether much messier and faffy proposition when you do that. Just sit it on the side somewhere and leave it. It works surprisingly well. So we'll try that too. So I think the idea with this one, if you can see this, is this central section here is on feet. So this allows water to travel freely wherever it wants, and therefore the things in the water. And with the lid on, light only gets to this bit, so this attracts the brine shrimp to the light. So when they're hatched and when they're ready, you can just go in with one of the dippers and take what you want to feed your fish. A couple of people did comment in my last video saying this actually works quite well, and that they use it in between feedings from their normal proper hatcheries. And that's probably worth considering, because if you are breeding fish and you do have a lot of fish, quite often people will run multiple of these at a time. So you'll have one brewing up, so to speak, while one is ready for harvest, and then you can swap over. So each day or each couple of days, you've always got one that's ready to feed. So if you find brine shrimp is for you and you find it works for your fish, as you probably will, because people who use it often say that and never go back. I've used this for years, it's great. That's the kind of cycle that you want to get going. So maybe this other one will be another option. One thing I did want to say about these is this one, when I got it, it didn't come with anything. You get the unit itself. As well made as it is, it's just the unit. Both these extra ones, so this one here and the square one that I showed you, come with all sorts of equipment, whether it be measuring spoons, pipettes, mesh nets for getting rid of your salt water, little storage devices, so you can pipette some out, some brine shrimp, put them in here, stick it in the fridge or the freezer, and you've got them to save for later. Loads of extras that I was really quite impressed with. Again, for pennies, none of this was very expensive. Whereas this, you had to come up with your own versions to do all that. No airlines, no extraction devices. It's fine, but you know, you get what you pay for. It doesn't work here because you don't get it when you pay for it. That made sense to me when I said it, but you know what I mean. Lots of freebies with the other stuff. What I don't get with this one so much is how the eggs will hatch and how they will be kept moving, because both of these run air, and it's the process of air keeps the eggs moving through the water, whereas this is just going to be sat there. I thought that floating it in a tank, it'd be the motion of the water might be the thing that does it, but yeah, several people have told me not to do that. So I am just going to sit it on the side. I'm going to sit it on a bench just over here next to me, so maybe we'll just give it a little swoosh around every now and again. Obviously this is going to be much lower yield because it doesn't hold as much volume. These two are roughly similar. This takes a couple of litres. But it'd be interesting just to see what happens and whether it's any good, because if it's low maintenance, I just put it in, just do that every few hours and it works, maybe that's good enough. Let's get them all filled and try it out. One last variable is your salt and your brine shrimp eggs, or Temu eggs. I am trying something new for me, so again, if this goes wrong, it could be the fault of this, but normally I will buy my Artemia eggs from eBay or sometimes Amazon, but yeah, I've not been able to find any recently, or any decent sized quantities. So I'm using these JBL Artemia salt and Artemia eggs. I'm going to try it out and see how we get on. We'll just be following the instructions for the measurements and adding them to each of the containers. So having filled them both with water, this holds 2 litres, this holds a litre. This is the JBL or Temu sal, which is basically aquarium salt, which also has some microalgae in it apparently, which will help feed them initially. Never used it before, so I can't tell you how good it's going to be. But basically 2 scoops per 500 mils, so 8 scoops for this one, 4 scoops for that one. You can just use, aquarium salt's meant to be best, but you can just use any old salt, and then you can mess around with things like baking powder or bicarb to get your levels right. But you know, we're going to just use the same thing for everything. So 8 for this one, and 4 for this one, and then turn on the air and wait. So I'm waiting for the salt to dissolve, and then I will put in the eggs. I won't run it at this rate of bubbles, but this is good to get it mixed. Just give it a few minutes. This one, however, is slightly different. It just says fill the water to a line that doesn't exist on this, but they show you on the diagram, and add 2 scoops of salt and 1 scoop of eggs. And that's it. I'll give it a bit of a stir round to see if I can get it to dissolve, and then I'll add the eggs. Right, that's that all dissolved, so 1 scoop of eggs. Put the lid on and wait. Let's see what happens. For these ones, it's the same scoops of eggs as it was for salt, but just with a different scoop that it comes with. So 8 in that one, 4 in that one. Going to have a lot of brine shrimp. So the other 2, I kind of know what to expect with them. This one is a new one for me, so it'll be interesting to see how they develop. Might get the microscope out and we can have a look at them through the time and see what happens. It's obviously a much smaller volume, so I'm not going to get the same volume of brine shrimp out of it, but maybe that's a good thing. If you only have 1 tank, you're not going to need something massive. There we go, we are at kind of 36 hours. What I tend to do is I will make my brine shrimp at the end of a day, so therefore I will get it 2 mornings later, given that 36 hours, in my experience, 24 to 48 hours is usually what most eggs say to give them. So if I just give them straight in the middle of that, it usually works quite well. And I think I can tell that these are ready. So now all you do is take the air off. It's as simple as that. So in this one I usually just pop it. I do have a valve that I can do that, but that will do the same thing. And this one does have a little clamp, so we can do that. Leave them to settle, and then we can start the harvesting process, which is slightly different for both of them, but essentially the same thing. One thing some people do mention is that they'll often have a light to shine a light at the bottom to collect all the brine shrimp in one area, so as you get most of the live brine shrimp out first. But again, in my experience, not necessarily giving you advice, but what tends to happen is if I just leave it for a bit longer, all the shells and unhatched brine shrimp will rise to the top, all the hatched brine shrimp will slowly slink to the bottom. Now, I do have a light down here, so maybe that's what's attracting them, but you know, your mileage may vary. Try it yourself. Just get a little torch or a little light, leave it there for a couple of minutes, and it will attract them all down towards that. So I'm just going to leave them and we'll come back in a minute. So this one has actually worked, and it's worked quite well. You can see that the unhatched, or the shells, have risen to the top there. I'm sure it's the same under the lid as well. It's hard to see with this camera, but hope you saw on the microscope footage, there's plenty in there. And this is just kind of the right size for if you just had 1 tank. Maybe if you have a betta fish, You just want to feed them some brine shrimp every now and again. This is fairly simple to do. You could just do it, and every couple of days you'll have some brine shrimp. And you just get a pipette in there, grab a little bit, and squirt it in your tank, and you're good to go. No faff, no air lines required. I'm kind of impressed. So as you can see, given 10 minutes or so, they've completely changed. The majority of the live brine shrimp have settled at the bottom. I guess attracted to light, but they generally just do this for me. If you want to do it a bit faster, get a light under there and it'll happen for you. But now we just get to extract. I'll show you the process for both of them. If I can find my bucket. Now there are two ways I generally do this. Sometimes I will just take a small cup, let out a little bit and feed directly to a tank using a pipette or just pouring it in. Yes, some salt water goes in with the brine shrimp, but usually not enough to change the water chemistry. If I don't want to do that, I can use the handily supplied collection cup with this one and just open the tap essentially. You can let it drip out, you can let it pour out at whatever rate you want. I don't want to feed loads right now, so I'll just take a little bit. There we go. And we have a significant amount. It's hard to show you this without tipping it all out. We have a significant amount of live brine shrimp. You can kind of see the difference between live and dead. Live have that kind of reddish colour. I don't know if you saw it coming out there, but some dead ones, some brown ones come out first, but there are loads in there. And just for completeness on the other one, same deal. We've just got a little tap on the end, open it up. Open it up. Open it up and nothing happens. Okay. We have seen our first difference. So I'm not sure what's going on there. So nothing is coming out. I think we've got, there we go. We've got a little bit of a blockage here. It's just not coming out as much as easily. A little bit of salt build up and a little bit of brine shrimp build up, so it needs a little bit of massaging here. I feel like I'm milking a cow to get that to come through. Okay, 5 minutes have passed. I have done some poking and stuff and it eventually has started to work. So I don't know if this is a one-off, but hopefully if I get out of the way you can see it is coming through in the same sort of way. So I don't know if that was a one-off or that is indicative of this is just a slightly less efficient way to get the shrimp out. It is working now, but there was obviously a little bit of a clog. I ended up having to blow on the end of this to clear the clog, and then it started coming out okay, but slightly more faffy, but the results are the same. When feeding it to the fish, I hope you can see they absolutely love it. Yeah, I've not met a fish, small or big. This is obviously my nano fish tank with lots of cherry barbs and pearl gouramis and various celestial pearl danios, things like that. They go mad for it, but equally the discus, the angelfish, the bigger tetras, tiger barbs, all love it. Alright, my bass might not show any interest whatsoever, but like the more common fish definitely love it. In terms of yield, I mean, I think that's probably more down to the quality of the eggs you get than it is the hatchery that you use. Obviously this is twice as big as this one, so it depends how much you need, how much you're going to use them. I often, you might have heard me say earlier, oh, that seems to be a lot of brine shrimp. I often don't fill the same quantity of eggs in this one, because this is the one I have been using, because I don't get through them that often. Also, these brine shrimp eggs say make sure you feed them as soon as they hatch because they start to lose their nutritional value. I don't know if that's true, and I certainly don't do that. I will run these sometimes for a few days. They're not getting to adult size or anything, but they will get a little bit bigger. and that seems to be fine. The fish love to feed on them just like that. So I guess or you can harvest them to keep them in the fridge or the freezer to use later in these little test tube containers that come with the cheaper of the two hatcheries. So you have many options of how to use these and keep them going for a few days. The usage is down to personal preference, what you're going to do. If you are breeding fish, you want to have lots available readily at all times, you're probably going to have a couple of different ones. That's fine. I like to keep them for a few days before I'll go and then start a new batch. This one, for the price, absolutely fine. This one, for the price, also absolutely fine. A lot more expensive, but it does the trick. A little bit of a foible with this one and its harvesting, but I don't know if that's a one-off or that's going to always be a problem. You might be able to figure out better ways of doing it, but yeah, it's kind of fine. The other little tray one here, it's kind of surprising. I think this would be the most used for most people. You're going to be able to get like a pipette full to feed a smallish tank for a few days out of this. So a day to breed 2 or 3 days worth of feeding. It's kind of great. Yeah, so I was not expecting this. A lot less faff, no airline required. Just put it in a semi-warm place. You're good to go. That is my test of these two various types of brine shrimp hatcheries. They're both fine. I think for the price, the value on the cheap Temu version is absolutely fantastic, and a little bit of a gem in the flat one. In terms of yield, again, I think it's more down to the eggs. These weren't brilliant, but they weren't terrible. I'm finding it harder and harder to find a good supply of eggs, but for what I'm going to use it for, it's fine. I'm actually going to keep them going for another few days just to see if I get more. So I will update in the comments, or join my Discord server, or come and see me on a Friday night, 9 PM UK time. We do a live stream every week. I can keep you updated on how it's gone, because maybe after 48 or longer, we get a better hatch rate. I'm not sure. So stay tuned and we'll update you next time. As always, thanks for joining me. I hope you found some of that useful, informative, or somewhere in between. And like I say, come and join me on a Friday night. Love to see you there. And if not, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!